Welcome, misfits.
We're live.
We're live. That's right. We'll do it live. Where we, in fact, are talking science destroys atheism. Scientists, I should say. Oh my goodness. Almost as good as science. But scientists destroys atheism from the channel Trinity Radio called Scientist Destroys Atheism for 11 minutes straight.
Very straightforward title there.
Yes. We cut off for 11 minutes straight because I guarantee you we're going to make it probably a lot longer. But won't you join myself, Amy Newman, and my co-host James W. for a destroying good time? I want to thank everyone for joining us out there on the inner tubes. I don't know how Al Gore did it, but thank you, sir. Please don't forget.
He doesn't know how he did it.
It was submarines, probably. Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. It was a government project that actually created the internet and then gave it to the private sector and then da-da-da-da-da-da. Isn't science history, I guess tech history fun. Anyway, please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. I had to sign it in blood within a contract that YouTube helps us sign. Like, follow, subscribe. That's probably not true. Anyway, please hit the bell icon so you can get reminders to join our live streams or see our premieres. Like, what is up, everyone out there? Woohoo! What is up, Spooky? What is up, Sideshow? What is up, Jessica Bell? Do.
What's up, George Soros?
I know. Listen, it feels good as an agent of George Soros to say hello to everyone. What is up, Jessica? What is up, BeNoJustBe? What is up, everybody? Oh my, oh my.
Oh my, oh my.
Yes.
Been quite a few weeks.
It has been quite a few weeks. And as always, James, it will be the ticker. Not to. I have my fill with the almost political people that will be shown tonight. There's a gaggle of people shown, but I'm just going to continue.
A familiar cadre, people that you may know of, may have heard of.
And for what it's worth, I think that the atheists push back on a little, and the creationists are, creationists gonna great bullshit.
I'm sure the video is heavily edited to make them show them in the best possible light. Any type of hard pushback will probably be edited out. But
listen, we're asking hard hitting questions tonight, okay? We're gonna be destroyed.
I keep seeing Shroud of Turin video. They are really pumping that. I get like 2 or 3 a day in my feed coming in. Like, new DNA analysis of the Shroud of Turin.
Maybe Google hired Antangelo.
I mean, they are really pushing that thing right now. Okay.
Which is so silly. It's a fraud. Like religion. Actually, it's a known fraud. And so I would even say there's as contrarian and as much as I want to put my fedora on, like most religious people also know it's a fraud. And so
I mean, you know that the actual real Jesus, he looks just like what the Western artists depicted him as 1,500 years later. How did they get it right all along? It's a mirror image of what the Renaissance artists pictured him looking
It's
like.
a mirror image of what I think he looks like from watching a lot of Netflix shows. I know, or movies, or insert whatever.
I mean, his feet look like the feet of
Dante's
Jesus and
Inferno.
Ben-Hur, because they didn't show his face in Ben-Hur, but we got to see Jesus' feet in Ben-Hur.
I want to see like a Jesus Highlander kind of thing. I mean, there can only be one, but in 3 parts. That checks out probably. Anyway, we're about to get destroyed.
Going to create, sideshow. They do.
They create bullshit. Let's see. It feels so good to be back on, James, though.
So Kent, because Kent is off YouTube now, but he does like open mics on Rumble. We gotta crash one of his open mics just for good times, for shits and giggles. Just
That's so funny that he got kicked off YouTube
again.
But I would absolutely go on Rumble to meet Kent Hovind again and talk with him and ask him if he does gravity experiments with his wife. I would be nice. We were nice to him. He's not always nice to people, but
you only got to really talk with him on the Brett Keane show, right? When that was.
Well, we've had debates. I think, didn't we have a debate on?
We did on
Standing for Truth.
Yeah.
Yes, the only time I've had an informal talk with him was with his lawyer. What's his face? Brett Keane. Which is what he felt like in the meeting.
Bodyguard,
Brett
lawyer.
Keane still doing stuff. Sending so much love, Brett Keane. Sending so much love to all my theist brothers and sisters out there. Oh my, I'm just, if they didn't think that person was the Antichrist, they're not going to think anybody is. Be easy for me. That'd be like the easy thing for me, I think. To just very much dislike someone. And I very much dislike this person to the core. I feel like there's no better example. If I wanted to just go into, just lean into who is the Antichrist and all this stuff, but he's not. It's the exact other opposite of it. It's the bad people do things, and sometimes they get away with it, and that's life, and that's the shitty part. That's why you got to stand up. Woo, 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 woo.
Listen, the Antichrist is the little horn. I'm not little. It's not little.
Can I tell you, that's part of the reason. I mean, I am bad at time management, notoriously. But we had a pause, and at least we were going to do one, was it Monday, Tuesday, one of those days. And James, I watched this video. I was excited for it because, first of all, I wanted to bring up this woman who looks both incredibly sweet. She's attractive. You can tell I'm setting up for something. And yet she almost looks demonic. Did you watch that video?
I did watch it.
Does she? Am I crazy? Is there not something about her? She has. Do you know what the movie Smile is?
No.
Okay, it's like this. It's this horror movie where you could probably guess where it makes you have this giant creepy
Stephen King movie or something.
And I feel bad because the whole time I was watching this video about the little horn, the Antichrist, as we learn in the Bible, all I was thinking about is this person looks demonic, and all I was saying is the other half of my brain was going, Amy, how dare you? Why are you calling this lovely woman demonic? Well, if I was just say casting, I'm just saying, and she was sweet and lovely, but she had this smile,
in a demonic way.
She had a smile that never left her. It was this type of thing that either you get brainwashed into or have demonic possession. I almost want to show. I can't help it. I feel like I want to show her
that composed Hillary Clinton look on her face. That soulless look of that. It's like mimicking what. Oh, this is what normal people look like. This is how normal people smile. This is how normal people look when they're concerned.
Let me just, and I'm probably doing her wrong, but I'm just going to share screen.
Yeah. Quick peek.
We're not doing her video. I'll explain why we're not doing her video anyway. But, like...
The Orlando Prophecy Summit.
Now listen, she's probably a very sweet woman.
She's there to lead the Christians astray. She's working for Satan.
Nonetheless, the reason we didn't do this video is because, like, he was just talking about the Bible, but he wasn't really, like, he wasn't preaching per se.
Wasn't bombastic. Yeah.
Yes. And so I couldn't help myself. Tonight, we have, Pierce Morgan and Stephen Meyer and Joe Rogan and Richard Dawkins. I mean, nonetheless, sending my heart out to that lady. If she ever gets offended, just know that my partner and I will spend a hotel room with her. It'll be great. We'll do whatever she's into. We are talking Scientist Destroys Atheism. As I said, I'm ready to get destroyed. We'll do some quick shout outs and send love to some more people.
You're ready for it. You're ready to get dominated.
I am
You're
ready
to be totally dominated and pounded into submission.
I am ready
Jesus.
for 6,000 to 10,000 years of domination. Why we do evolution videos. It's why we do Big Bang videos. And it's because, again, they pick that fight. It's not us that, are like, is evolution? Is that like a thing? Yes. And I hate, I'm not randomly saying, as Tucker will lovingly. All right, let's get some shout outs. And we'll enjoy it together. Tons of ways you can help out the show. You can send super chats and I'll dance around. I like dancing. As well as our channel membership down there with our evolving badge system. Evolution triggers creationists. Not to mention, they don't even attack evolution so much as they attack abiogenesis. They pick a fight that we didn't start to begin with, but they pick a fight that we never said was completely known, or we don't say abiogenesis is the backbone of
there's
modern
less
biology.
data on it.
Exactly.
It's more theoretical.
I would say it's actually the frontier of biology, but I don't know what theology has given us in the past.
Well, don't you
of
see?
years.
It's about to prove all these scientific theories wrong, and we're just going to have to go back to the Bible because all the science is going to be proven wrong. We'll say, and they'll be like, guys, I told you the whole time it was in this book. God told you how He did it.
Better angels of our nature. I'm sorry, Steve.
God told you how He did it. It's pretty stupid, because that's what when an old Earth creationist would talk to Kent, like, do you think I'm going to heaven? And Kent would be like, well, if you believe in Jesus, yes, you're going to heaven. But when you get to heaven, God's going to tell you how stupid you were because you didn't believe His book. He told you right how He did it, and you don't want to believe that. So you were being dumb, but you won't go to hell for it.
I mean, you could make any type of afterlife that you want because we got no tests for that. You only seem to find out when you're dead.
I saw a video by someone who claims to be a former Christian pastor who's been reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead. He was talking about that, which is it's kind of like Hinduism, sort of, with reincarnation and karma and a test in the afterlife. And
I'll be honest, that was fun. Shout out to my brother Taco, Breakfast Tacos. Go check out his channel. Did a debate with a Hindu on there. And can I tell you, James, what was the two most fun parts about it? Because my answer...
Oh, one had to be the flying monkeys. That had to be the best part.
My original answer was how much the other theists took him to task in the Q&A department. Was like they completely I expected the
Muslims and the
atheists to be
Christians,
on my side, but yes, the Muslims and Christians seemed way more fascinated by how this Hindu could have his beliefs. So that was fascinating. My second, after reflecting on that debate, is how similar he was to a Christian debater, or Muslim debater, or insert theist debate. How much he was to the person that he got insulted, that I compared him to. But yeah, check that out. It was fun. I would do that again.
Because the rationale is all the defense of faith, the use of faith as a means to understand reality. It's all really the same.
And it's all just like, even if you're a more liberal religion, which I'm great, fantastic, you're more open-minded and accepting, but you're still making things up. Like, I mean, there's no scientific backing for karma or reincarnation or any of the... See, they say it's thousands of gods, but it's actually like a dozen or 100 gods, and then
Depends on
thousands
how you
of
define the term of God.
yeah, well, then thousands of avatars, and I find avatars are like the replacement for prophets, because they don't have prophets, but what their gods do is they have different avatars, and their avatars are human forms of the god. And so, and oftentimes one god has many avatar forms.
Yeah.
See, I like that stuff, in the fact that I like to learn about it so I can debate about it, and there is like a weird part of my brain that likes it because I like looking at wikis and learning about Star Wars and learning about Star Trek and learning about like the different worlds, going into the Fallout wiki, going out into like all of these nerdy type of things. But it's the fact that they think it's true that bothers me.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like,
No,
I love learning about all of the different... I went out of my way not to make fun of any of the gods, because I knew that was the low-hanging fruit. He still got mad at me and was like, "Oh, you sound like a Wikipedia search of it," or whatever. He said I just sounded like
you have a very cursory understanding, very surface level.
And he didn't really, but he didn't defend any of the claims. Or when I finally got him, I was like trying to pin him down to chakra, because someone from the Q&A was bringing up chakras, and I was like, "Well, give me one. Come
where
on,
are they?
come
Is
on."
there any evidence for them?
And he went for the spine. I'm like, "Okay, we're going to go digging in there? Okay, sure. Please, no one go digging to find that chakra." What are we talking about? Support of the show. You can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. Sending so much love to many of the supporters of our show, like Azo, reminding us this is the Skeptic and Ranting community. Come, if you are a skeptic, come and rant with us. If you are not a skeptic, then come talk with us anyway. If you think the world is 6,000 years old. Though my favorite is when they call that's the contrarian thing though about it. I sometimes get from flat earthers or whatever. They will say, "Well, we're the skeptics." That kills me because...
Jessica.
He, what did she say? Religious lore is
scary. Yeah. And they actually defend. They have to defend a lot of it and try to rationalize it and make it sound good and logical. And they go to some pretty amazing lengths to do that.
Whole thing. So I'll say this, and then I'm sending love to Sinister preemptively. But there's apologetics. Apologetics is defense of the faith in Christianity. There is kalam. Kalam is more than just the argument that we know, the Kalam cosmological argument. Kalam is also a school of Islamic thought of defense in the faith. I also kind of view Dawa as similar to that. But
basically,
yes, all that going on. And sending so much love to the Sinister Chorus. Remember, if you don't play God, who will? A message from Mad Scientist Local 290A.
Because the religious may have no idea where their God came from, but we actually know. We can actually tell you where your God came from. We can.
Yes. Well, they always like to try and pin you, then say that you cannot have absolute knowledge, and then they say, but we do, because we know God exists. They're like, you're just claiming that, but okay.
Where did God come from? Well, nowhere and everywhere, and you can't ask that. You can't understand that. You wouldn't even be able to comprehend him if he told you, so don't bother asking. Oh.
Listen, you wouldn't, well, you can't comprehend it. Puny humans. Yeah, sending so much love to Sinister.
Thank you, Sinister.
And thanks for all the fish. All right. And sending so much love to Chris Disciple, reminding us we have a skeptic and ranting community that accepts theists as well. Come one, come all we require is that you're a skeptic. And
you like beer pong.
Like beer pong. Have I ever played beer pong? I don't know.
You wouldn't remember if you did. You probably did, but you don't remember.
That's probably true. And sending so much love to Dale Pastel, reminding us that those davegar is 4,500. We're looking for empirical evidence. My mind is mush, James. Sending so much love to Dale as we remind ourselves we're looking for empirical evidence. We'll accept arguments. I mean, they always ask, what else?
Not usually very
accept?
Good, but we'll consider it.
We'll consider it, but we'd prefer empirical. And sending so much love to davegar, reminding us the world is 4.5 billion years old. I don't know what to tell you. It's not 6 to 10,000, and it's round. They knew this thousands of years ago. You have no excuse. American education system has no excuse. I love the American. We're just sending love to teachers out there. They need it. They need all the support.
Meet your teacher and tour the school. Register your student.
What are we talking about? Sending so much love to Rachel Holen, reminding us that you should not take slaves from the nation around you. You're kinky.
Oh, but the Bible say it's good. The Bible say you can do it. That's God, the book of morality. He says it's okay. Why is it wrong?
But James, you don't understand. This is the good slavery. It's a works program.
Well, you remember, right? Us going through the Exodus and all the plagues and all that, and finally, after God finally has enough fun killing people and messing with the Pharaoh, one of the first things he does once he gets his people out is, so now, you need some laws, so I got to give you laws. So the first law that we're going to do now that you're out of slavery is how to sell your children into slavery to pay debts, because you see a debt is sacrosanct, right? It doesn't matter if you have to sell your children to pay a debt. You sell those damn children, because the worst thing that could ever happen is for a
James.
rich person not to get their money back. For you not to pay that rich person back who loans you money. Sell your family, sell your wife, sell it all.
Just think about it. It's a win-win. You get money for selling your kids, plus no longer have to pay college tuition.
Because we've all had those things get tight, those family conversations around the dinner table where you and your partner, your husband or your wife have to start looking at the kids like, which one can we get the most for? How much do you think we could get for Johnny over there, and what about Emily? Could we get 10 grand for her, or is she more like a $8,000 daughter?
You go on BiblePriceline.com and
yeah, it's all about the shekels, really.
Yes,
but it's for a good cause, because
ironically is what Soros
debts, right?
pays us in. Yes.
You have to pay your debts, no matter what. No bankruptcy, no, IOUs. You sell your kids, you give the rich guy his money back.
Also, I'm pretty sure a guy like in the new part of that book is supposed to hate rich people, but they forget that part. It's supposed to be hard.
He has a more nuanced take. Yeah, a more nuanced take on rich people.
That's right. It's more, the more gold you get, the faster you get into heaven. That's the better version. Anyway, sending so much love to Ian Davenport, reminding us that apologetic arguments are bad, including the contingency argument, the Kalam cosmological argument, including
what about the ontologic
Pascal's
argument?
wager.
Is that one bad too? Is the ontologic argument bad? Yeah.
All of them are basically just baiting people that I would say don't think philosophically that often, and trying to nudge them, if not force them, to think the way that they think. That is a lot of those circles every time I try to get them, to because I enjoy having those conversations, because I think that God is contingent on us. I think that without him, his ontology would be this book. He exists only here. But I guess that's not completely true, James, because there's a cartoon version of him being released in theaters right now. But yes, it's just word games.
There's a Jesus cartoon
were useful to philosophers hundreds of years ago. I will give you up until the 18th century, and even now there's still good science philosophy. There is still good uses for it. There's still good use for understanding how to think, and yet the theologians use it because theology sucks. They don't want to use science, and it's the only tool they have.
It's all they have.
Yes.
It's abstract, It's
not that I want to shit on philosophy. It's that
I'll shit on philosophy. You can be more neutral.
Well, no, because because I do think it's they're trying to get out of intellectual free card, because they can talk in hypotheticals. They can, do sort of mind experiments that are purposefully not solved and are not supposed to be solvable. Even
Carefully
though,
designed to be
but there's some that even get. I'm trying to remember the what's it called, arrow, or there used to be one paradox where you could never truly get forward, or Zeno's paradox, and now scientists think that so there's good reason to expand your brain a little bit. However, when you actually need to get into the research field, you need to break new ground, you need science. I don't know what to say. It's been that way for hundreds of years. Very thankful for philosophy to giving us the natural philosophers that gave rise to science. Now it is escapism a lot for theologians, and I'd say the actual best use for philosophy would be counter-apologetics, would be basically just to debunk all of the nonsense things that the creationists are saying. But I understand your viewpoint too, because niche market. Yes.
Well, I mean, just look at the things, like look at the foundations of philosophy today. I mean, they're really just batting around the same ideas that have been batted around for thousands. It's all theoretical, so you never actually establish anything fundamental. You have to start
I'll give you an example.
Every generation.
I think, therefore I am. Great statement. Really makes you, because I have thought this really does seem to enforce that I must exist. In fact, it must be crucial, contingent, dependent upon, because I have this thought that my existence either is, whether it's true in this form or on a server somewhere, you can do a million thought experiments. Nonetheless, when you actually want to find a cure for cancer, you have to use science. And so it's just one is expanding your mind in just a philosophical, maybe that's what, hence the term, and the other is, science, biology, physics, chemistry. These are the frontiers of what make our modern world possible, and it doesn't come from not only philosophy but theology. Anyway, keep on. Last one. Speaking of theology, Rejo, sending so much love. We remind everyone of our Skeptic Bible study and that the Bible has really two modes, and that is exposition mode. It's just telling you how many dukes are in one piece of land because we won a war. And then the other is just murder. Speaking of war. Murder. Like, the thing that gets me about that story, and then I'll hand it over to you for a quick second, and then we'll get into science destroying, is how, like, what reading that story slowly, methodically showed me was the horror of how much it truly was God's fault. And I know that a theist will say, well, of course, everything is in God's. But no, that stone heart thing made me weep, because that means that Pharaoh was a dick, but he wasn't like a my son deserves to die kind of dick. You know what I mean? Like, it was.
I mean, he might have been arrogant, but I mean, what do you expect? You got a king. You're going to be a king. You're going to rule a nation. You're going to be somewhat narcissistic, full of. You almost have to be an effective ruler.
Especially, I also give more credence
totalitarian government like that.
I give more credence to people back then as early governments were forming and we were getting our stuff together, but nonetheless, he got defeated early on, way earlier than any of the Sunday school, I guess Friday and Saturday school, depending on which religion. The Pharaoh's heart getting hardened. Like, they don't really focus on that. In fact, I would say the way that they portray it, the most common portrayal is with no hardened hearts. It's that he was just, until he was basically with it the entire way. We're not letting these Jews go, up until he was basically, neck deep in water, and then he's like, but that's not how it was. Well, it was he let them go halfway through, earlier than that.
Yeah, and then God again hardened his heart and said, "Oh, no, I'm not done. No, Pharaoh, you're gonna go after. You're gonna go try and take those Jews back, and then I'm going to completely destroy
Exactly.
your army." Yeah,
He made him go get the chest back.
he made him
I mean,
try to go back so he could have fun. I'm gonna drown a bunch of soldiers and horses. That's gonna be fun. Watch.
after he'd already killed this guy's son.
He killed probably
Many
hundreds
people's
of thousands
sons.
or millions of sons.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know.
Even
Exactly.
the animals, even the livestock.
Now, luckily it didn't
firstborn
happen,
of
but
the animals.
yes, exactly. Hypothetically,
not.
if we take their logic on board, yes. On board. I said on board.
But if his heart was already hardened, if the Pharaoh wasn't going to let them go under any circumstance, why would God have to intervene and harden his heart over and over
I don't know.
again? If the Pharaoh wasn't going to let him go, why would he wouldn't have to do that, because the Pharaoh was.
Yeah, I never thought of it
on
that
his own.
way. What a shitty God that you have to harden his heart 5 times. I like how goodness. I don't know. I wouldn't say goodness again because I don't. I'm not the fucking. No, I'm not the Pharaoh's lawyer here. He was a. You have slaves. You're not exactly a good guy. But I'm just saying.
Even though he didn't really exist in the context of the Bible.
At a certain point, if you are making that guy hold the slaves and in control of them, it kind of makes it look like you're the dick. Yeah, all those plagues, all those horrible things didn't need to happen. Anyway, it didn't happen. So let's.
It did not happen.
But read it. That is my continuing thing. It's a stereotype, an adage that atheists say. You know, the best way to make you an atheist is to actually read the Bible. With that story, it's true. It really is. You want the real version, the horrible, horrific version.
It did
read
rain
it.
frogs. Yeah, that was one of God's plagues. He spammed frogs everywhere. Like just imagine that. Like, okay, you will let my people go. What if I spam frogs everywhere?
Can I tell you?
You will have frogs coming out of your coffee pot. You will have frogs everywhere.
This is what I want to know.
That'll make you let the kids go.
All right.
That'll make you let them go.
I don't know why I love it. I think it was The Simpsons that did it, and you know, it was like the French version. They ate the frogs.
Yeah.
But this is what I want to know about that specific plague, okay? And this is very stupid, and yet I just want to know, all right? Because religion's not good at logistics. Did he suck up some frogs from the pond and then make it rain frogs? Or did he create, I hate to say, fresh frogs? And
I
make
believe
it
he
rain
would
frogs.
have to create. Yeah, he probably created them.
That's gotta be pretty great. Well, I guess either way, it's gotta be pretty crazy for that frog. Those frogs. Oh my god. Woo! It's a weird day.
But the Exodus, the Egypt story, that's just a microcosm of the whole thing. This whole religion, this whole system. This is all about God creating a problem, offering us a solution, and demanding to be thanked for that solution, even when it's a shitty solution. Like, even when it sucks and lots of people are going to be left out and dead. Oh, well, I didn't have to even do that. You should still be thankful for it. Well, no, go fuck yourself.
But it's okay. I'm probably right after they escaped Egypt, they basically go on to have a great time, I think. Right? That's how the story goes. It's wonderful.
Well, you know, if you remember, they got out of Egypt, and because God said, I want you to go in the desert and worship me. And, you know,
this is your favorite part.
A few weeks later, the Israelites are like,
who?
Hello, Mr. God? Yeah, God. Oh, hey, listen, you know, we're really glad you brought us out of the land of Egypt, but you know, at least there we were slaves, but we had food to eat. You brought us out in the middle of the desert, God. There's nothing to eat here. We're all starving to death, God. And God is like, oh, wow, me, I don't need to eat. So I forgot that my people need food. Silly me. I mean, yeah, of course. Are you guys hungry? Are you hungry? Do you want something
Oh,
to
do I
eat?
have food for you?
Because I'm omnipotent. It's no work for me. It's no effort. You guys have to hunt food, find it. I could just poof it out of nothing. So, poof, there's a feast. Amy, you look famished. You haven't eaten in a few days. Would you like some quail? Would you like a piece of
Quail.
quail? Yeah.
This looks like perfectly amazing quail. There's
Oh,
nothing.
it's
Oh.
juicy and tender and well seasoned. Lightning comes down and kills them all. How dare you ask? How dare you come to me with your petty problems?
Yes. See, the two of the things that I think that you
Do I have
like
to do
about that
everything for
story
you?
that I remember. Number one, the quail. The fact that he put them there, they started to starve. He asked. It was just this group, because if he killed all of them, then clearly the story would have ended. But it was these group of Israelites that came to him and said we're starving. He gave them food, and I think they were poisoned. I think it was poison quail. I guess it doesn't explain how they die, but they all die. And then the other part was that they forget about God. Moses goes up to the thing for like a day or whatever, and they all forget God's there and start worshiping the cow. Like they just saw
right.
a God that murdered children.
He parted the Red Sea so they
I
could
know,
cross.
after the sea, all these chariots.
Hey, Moses, he's been up on that mountain a little too long. Like he's been gone a little long. Why don't we just? You remember all that gold that God told us to steal from the Egyptians on the way out? Because not that that's just a reference like how did they get gold? Well, steal from the Egyptians. But yeah, that gold God told us to steal from the Egyptians. Why don't we melt all that down and make an idol and worship that? And they're like, oh, that's a great idea. That's the best idea I've ever heard. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong with that? Yeah.
He seems like such a loving God, so I'm sure he'll
He won't
be okay.
He won't mind a little
He won't
idolatry.
mind.
He's not jealous like that.
I
He'll be fine. He does love the drama,
And
Jeffrey,
then he comes
but
down
but in
with
a perverse kind of way. And it's like the Jerry Springer show, but a much darker version of it, much more evil, sadistic version of it.
but that's okay. He comes back with the 10 commandments that really is all about that first one. Like they sneak in the thou shalt not kill. The fact that that's on like number 5 or 6 or whatever the version that it's
It's a
on
footnote.
is terrible. I know that's basically a footnote. It's not a headliner. Headliner would be the 10th. It's not your intro. It's the intro, of course, how we get it off. You shall have no other gods before me. He comes down while they're worshiping other gods. He comes back with a document that starts off, never can do that again. Anyway, I'm about to hand. In fact, why don't I go hand it over to you, James? We're about to get into it, even though we've been stretching our legs. Thank you all for listening. Exactly, but we are talking about Scientist Destroys Atheism. We're just having some fun as the creationists talk about their nonsense. But James, handed it over to you. What are your thoughts about this or anything we talk about tonight?
Well, so why are they wandering for 40 years in the desert? And what is this promised land that God promised them? A land that flows with milk and honey, because any piece of land on earth, especially at that time, you have to work your ass off to get it to produce. But there's supposedly this land out there where all the shit just grows and you don't really have to do anything. You have to work your ass off to get the land to produce, which is a fact of life. We have to work in order to eat. We've got to bust our ass to get the land to produce even just a little bit, especially at the time. So obviously there's no land out. There is no promised land where everything is great. You don't have to work hard all the time. And it was it's like the ultimate carrot and stick thing. It was to get them to devote themselves to this God, and any little tiny minor slip up which is inevitable with all those rules, right? That's justification enough for them to be excluded. So it's not God's fault. It's not the land doesn't actually fucking exist. It's you weren't holy enough. You didn't have enough faith. You didn't do this. You do that. It's never God's fault. And we see that clearly at the example that where God tells Moses to tap the rock and have water come out of it. And to Moses tapped the rock twice and water came out of it. And God was indignant, like, how fucking dare you tap that rock twice? Did you not have enough faith in me that you thought you had to tap it an extra time to make the water come out? No, you're horrible. Fuck you, Moses. You've been busting your ass. You've been doing everything I've been saying for all these years. Now, you will never see the promised land. All this whole time, everything you've worked for is gone. No, you'll never get there. You will die before you ever see that promised land because of that one little indiscretion, one little thing that annoyed God or that he thought didn't show enough faith. And so that's the thing, is that this goal is completely unattainable. But if we could keep people working for it, if we keep people on that path, well, it's a great control mechanism. It's great for societal cohesion. And when you read the Old Testament, you can clearly tell that's what they were going for. They were definitely afraid of getting bred out of existence. They put strict rules about who can marry, who can have kids, because they did not want themselves to be intermingled and bred out of existence with the other groups in the region. It was a contentious region. They were surrounded by lots of different powers, some of them whom were stronger than them, obviously because they were taken over. They were held captive more than once in their history. And whenever that happened, they just said, well, we just didn't have enough devotion to Yahweh. We tolerated the worship of other gods a little too much, so God allowed that to happen to us. Remember who actually came up with the idea that the Israelites be in Egypt to be enslaved? Well, that was God. Remember his whole plan with Joseph, the brothers thing, and the Technicolor coat. And Jacob would favor Joseph, so all the other brothers would hate him and be jealous of him, and they sold him into slavery. But Joseph, just being a good, God-loving person, he rose to the top even of that. God sends a famine. The Israelites have to move to Egypt, but that's okay because Joseph's buddies with the Pharaoh. So the Pharaoh says, yeah, fine, come on. Yeah, bring them on to Egypt. Yeah. And then, of course, a couple pharaohs down the line, and the Pharaoh says, wait, who are all these people? What are they doing here? We don't know them. Let's enslave them. And, a couple generations later, God gets around like, okay, all right, I guess they've been slaves long enough. I guess I'll rescue them. But, it was his plan the whole time. This he got them into the mess, and then he prolonged it. He had this fight with the Pharaoh's gods, to try to prove that he was better and stronger and bigger than their gods. And, even after that, he makes the Pharaoh send his army out so he can destroy the Pharaoh's army. Coincidentally, we're never told the names of any of these pharaohs. Go figure. I mean, I guess they wanted to save them the embarrassment. They never named a pharaoh. Maybe because if they actually dropped a name, you could actually tie that to an actual pharaoh, and maybe you could prove some of it didn't happen. Their biggest concern is making it not falsifiable. So they didn't name any of the pharaohs. So Christians, they debate sometimes, oh, who was the pharaoh? It was none of them. It's none of them. If they wanted to name a pharaoh, they would have named the pharaoh. They didn't name it because they weren't even going to pretend they had any clue who the pharaoh was in the 9th century, 8th century BC when they were writing these myths down. They had no freaking clue who the pharaoh was. They weren't even going to pretend. So they just named him Pharaoh. The next one, Pharaoh. That's all we're going to do. So we have no fucking clue who the pharaoh was. In 1500 BC. This is 500, 600 years later. And they're creating a fictional narrative of their people, which thankfully we now know is fictional because it's got all kinds of horrible things in it. But Ironically, the people who do think it's history seem to like all those horrible things, all the genocides and the invasions and the wars and the battles over pointless things. Yeah, thankfully, a good chunk of it is myth. It never actually happened. Some of them will concede that, or they'll say it was for war poetry, propaganda. Um, but it really isn't. It's an encapsulation of uh, the faith of Christianity, even, and that's that God creates humankind. He doesn't need to create humankind. He just chooses to. He chooses to give us a nature that is not the same as his. He chooses to make his nature, to define that as good and holy, not because he worked for it or not because he did anything great to become good or holy. No, that's just how he is. So he defined that as good and holy, and he could have given us that nature so we would naturally be like him. We would naturally want to do the things that he likes, but he didn't. He gave us a different nature. He gave us biological needs and things that we need on the earth that sometimes conflict with his notions of good. So we're in a constant struggle between uh, what he wants and what biology and evolution tell us we need to survive. And of course, he wants us to forsake ourselves, to tell millions of years of evolution to go fuck themselves and to do what he wants us to do, right? Um, so we're put in this position, and then that he knows that we can never, he knows that we can never live up to it. And but why does he do all this? Well, I mean, it seems like he just wanted a bunch of people to torture and kill and punish forever for his own amusement. Because if that wasn't what he wanted, why would he do it the way that he did it? He did it the way he did it. Well, he doesn't exist, but if he did exist, he did it the way he did it because he just wanted a bunch of people to make suffer forever. He wanted a bunch of people to be miserable, I guess, for his own enjoyment. Because he intentionally conceals himself from you. He wants you to arbitrarily just choose to believe that he exists anyway, even though he makes it impossible to verify. He hides himself. You have to just believe it arbitrarily. You have to just choose to believe it. Um, based on fear and coercion. It's not based on free will. If it was based on free will, there would be no threats, no coercion. There would be no, God would say, you know, Christians all the time, they say, well, God's not going to force you to love him. He's not going to make you love him. So you send yourselves to hell. He's not going to force you. That would be wrong. He respects your free will enough to let you make your own choice. And that might be valid if God would say, let us choose. Like, okay, I created you. I really want you guys to come to heaven and worship me forever, to spend all eternity in heaven telling me how great I am. And if you do that, I will make it so that you love every minute of it. You'll be happy. You'll be as happy as can be. You will never want to do anything else. The even thought of doing anything else other than worshiping me will be so horrible. You'll be completely happy, completely content. You'll be mindless automatons, but you'll be happy and you'll love doing it. Or, well, I guess if you want to go somewhere else and do your own thing and whatever, I guess you can do that. I would prefer you come and worship me, but if that's not what you want, fine. You go your own way, do your own thing. I won't stop you. But no, that's not the option that he gives us. It's, well, you can either come worship me forever or you can burn forever. How's that? Well, how is that free will when the only other alternative is, possibly the only thing that sounds worse than being lobotomized forever would be consciously being tortured forever. It's the only thing worse because secretly, well, the secret is that most of the Christians, if they had another alternative, if they could choose to just go somewhere else and do their own thing rather than mindlessly worship forever, they would make that choice. They would want to go do something else, anything else. Anything else would be better, but God's not giving them that choice. So I guess we'll have to take the lobotomy and sit in heaven and tell him how great he is forever. I mean, it sounds like a pretty vapid, empty, mindless existence, but hey, I guess it's better than being on fire forever, right? and that's the that's the encapsulation of the religion. It's not free will. It's like no more free will than the guy who pulls out a knife or a gun and tells you, "Give me your wallet," and then the police get there. Well, no, he chose to give me his wallet. I mean, he could have chosen to be shot. He chose to give me the wallet. So how is that not his free will? He chose to give me his money. I mean, he could have chosen to be shot, but he didn't. So therefore, let me go. Well, no, that's not how it works. We don't take oh, she consented. Well, maybe the fact that you had a knife to her throat, maybe that had a little. Oh, I mean, she said okay. I mean, yeah, no, that's rapist mentality, rapist logic. It's not free will. It's not consent. It's stupid, and that's what religion is based on.
God is a mafia boss.
He is like, you want to worship me or not? Okay, you don't want to worship me. It sounds pretty bad, right? I'll do the only thing worse than that.
But all right, we're gonna get into it in one moment. I'm about to load it up. I want to say one thing because I was listening, James.
Oh yes.
There's one reason I would say why there is no name for Pharaoh.
Uh-huh.
And that is because originally these were basically campfire stories. I mean, the Jews were using oral tradition.
Yeah.
They would not write it down because they thought that it was heretical to do so. And then the temple fell, and suddenly they had to create a Torah and a Tanka, and we now have to write these stories down. And when you're really doing the first iteration of this, and it's thousands of years ago, you're gonna get Pharaoh, son of Pharaoh.
But you see, when they get on later on, and they actually get confident, like, I know who that was. That was Antioch. They have no problem dropping a name when they know. It's only when they don't even want to, like, oh, if I get the name wrong, then that'll be obvious. So no, I'm not gonna even pretend I know.
They act like they had some sort of divine wisdom. I think atheists treat them as if they were just regular humans, as in, like, yeah, they knew like Egypt was a place. Like, we're okay with them understanding some basic facts.
They have
at the time.
Pharaoh. I think he runs the place. He's like the manager guy over there.
Manager. My favorite apologetic recently is the king. It's not a pharaoh. It's a king. Isn't a pharaoh a? They play word games. Anyway, speaking of word games,
semantics.
James, are you ready to get destroyed?
Oh boy, do I have to get on all fours?
I think so. But
the knee pads
going back to the beer pong, hopefully we won't remember.
Oh, beer enema?
Yes. Hopefully. Okay. Do they have that?
I guess if
we're about to find out.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Well, listen, if it works for LSD, so I've been told. Anyway, let's start to share. Because we are.
It's the only way to drink Bombay Sapphire without vomiting is to rectally infuse it, because it's so bad. It's such bad gin for such high price.
James, sometimes
why would you want to pay premium price for just nasty gin when you get a Beefeater for cheaper? It's much better. I don't know. I don't get it.
The mysteries of life, James. Which gin?
Pierce in repose.
What I will say is, yes, we are getting to it. We are, in fact, watching from Trinity Radio, and I'll say the full title, even though it'll probably
Trinity,
be more
Jesus,
than that.
Bible, Holy, Salvation Radio.
I do love it when they call it something like Truth Freedom, the Truth Freedom
God, country,
Logic
faith.
Show. Yes. Trinity Radio. Where would they ever get that name? Where we're talking scientist destroys atheism for 11 minutes straight.
What is
10
that,
minutes and
God
would
TV
still be
radio
atheist,
tube, God TV radio tube,
but yes.
org, manatee, Sirenia canis.
Oh, the humanities. But let's get into it. We got Pierce on screen. Let's have some
Well, they've
fun.
got science for you, Ember. Don't worry about that, Ember. The science is coming. I feel it. I feel it. The science is on the way.
Yes. Any day now, it's going to be an intellectual barrel of wisdom. So let's absorb it and have some fun as we get destroyed. My
Where's
body
Keir
dread.
Starmer when we need him?
You argue there are three big scientific discoveries that point to the existence of God. I want to go through these. One, the Big Bang Theory. So why would that lend support to a theory of a God?
Here, Piers Morgan challenges former geophysicist Stephen Meyer on
am
why
happy
he
you
thinks
accepted.
science leads to
Former
God.
geophysicist.
Now, we need to hear the setup conversation, but then in just a few moments,
And I was looking him up. He did. He basically left science to go do religion, but then call it science. Good times.
we're going to hear the
Braxton Hunter
scientist's
Biden.
answer, an answer that to many people amounts to proof of God.
This all blew up last week because Tucker Carlson went on Joe Rogan. And I
boy.
don't know if you saw this, but he said this about this very issue.
Oh my. Okay, let's get into it.
Evolution is real, and if there is this
Is it real?
constant, I don't know, but
Yes.
it's visible. Like
I-
you can measure it in certain animals.
You can measure adaptation.
Yeah.
But there's no evidence that evolution. In fact, I think we've kind of given up on the idea of evolution.
Can I just start by saying, as someone who's been recently criticizing Joe, I like that he actually pushed back instinctually a little bit, and surprised at how, maybe I shouldn't be surprised at how much Tucker is shilling, but there we go for creationism.
Well, they use Joe Rogan as like clickbait, like, oh, because they know how much attention he gets. So they're just, I see it every day. Oh, Joe Rogan this, Joe Rogan that. Like the flat earthers, like they'll have, oh, Joe Rogan on. Even if they have like 3 seconds of a clip of him in the video, they just use that as a name drop to show up in search results.
Sure. But he's had some of these people on. I wish we would have someone like Richard Dawkins and him on at the same time. Well, again, I didn't, until this video, I would have never put creationism and Tucker Carlson together. Like, it's well within his MO to do this shit, but yeah.
theory of evolution as articulated by Darwin is.
Oh wait, I
kind
love
of not
this.
true.
I'm sorry. Just I don't want to cut it in half because this is just I just love how he puts the cards in, just like other apologists.
I think we've kind of
I was
given up
writing
on
a
the idea of
movie
evolution.
script,
The
well,
theory of evolution
not
as
really a
articulated by
script.
Darwin is like kind of not true.
But I was writing a movie script about World War III, where the United States loses to Russia, and Tucker Carlson becomes the mouthpiece of the new regime, and
That
tries to make it seem like oh, we're going to become part of the Russian Federation. This will be great. Yeah.
It makes sense. I'm trying so hard not to go political.
Yeah.
Only one country, I think actually North Korea, I'd have to check to be verified. Only one country doesn't have a tariff on them right now. Do you know which country that is, James? It's a lot of countries out there.
No.
Russia. Just coincidentally. They asked him on this, and he said, well, I gotta, negotiate with them. They're in a war right now. Put pretty good tariffs on Ukraine. It's just coincidental, James. It's cool. It's just a coincidence. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Coincidence.
It is.
Anyway, let's get back to these mouthpieces. I'm just glad. Again, I often give Joe Rogan and Richard Dawkins, recently a lot of shiznaz for political things, but at least they have some instinctual notion to bat some of this around, though he also goes towards conspiracy theorists too. So a little bit of both.
In what sense?
Well, in the most basic sense, the idea that, all life emerged from a single cell organism and over time, and there would be a fossil record of that, and there's not.
But that's not true. You're either lying or wrong.
He wants to see, like, oh, this was the first life, and immediately see next to it the fossils of, like, the next, like, okay, yeah. Like, that one event has to be preserved in fossils, otherwise he's not going to believe it, yeah.
Yes, I also like half of it is just the gusto to make those definitive statements. Like, he's wrong, but he's really confident about it.
Very, like, almost defiantly, like, oh no, there's no evidence of that.
It almost like the same of a presuppositionalist, where the like kind of shtick is to just make you even stupid for feeling, even thinking it. You're an evolutionist, are you? Okay, but there's
no evidence of that.
There's no fossil record of that. Really? You should check out what are those things called, James? They rhyme with museums. I'm trying to remember. They're filled with them. You should check them out.
Oh, but I mean, it doesn't show every single animal that ever lived, right? I mean,
Noah's Ark would.
There's gaps.
What's up to Freak? What's up, everybody who I also haven't had a chance to send love out to? Mannard and Maya and everybody. Ember, so many lovely people out there. But yes, let's keep on getting destroyed.
Your response?
Well, I don't know what Tucker knows about all this, but
probably not as qualified as you. But he likes to
not much.
Something that happened in London 2016, major conference convened by.
I like that he almost took a pot shot at him. I didn't notice that the first time. I'll give that to Stephen for as much as we're about to poo-poo all over him and his statements.
Society, arguably the world's most august and prestigious scientific body, was convened by a group of evolutionary biologists who are dissatisfied with the standard neo-Darwinian theory of evolution. And many of the conveners are calling for a new theory because the primary mechanism...
You didn't say the scientist. That was a very unique word.
...of biological change articulated by Darwin and his subsequent followers, now called the neo-Darwinists. The idea of natural selection acting on random.
Come on, James. Come on. It's one of. I'm sorry, James.
Do it.
I know that I have a few laws that are developing over time, but it's true. Come on. Is it not true? If you really dislike something or an ideology, you just attach neo to it. All right. Anything that is old is good because then you get to be classic. You want to be classic or classical. You don't want to be neo. Neo's bad. New bad.
I mean, you could be a Nazi or a neo. I think they're both pretty bad, but I mean, I don't think one sounds much better than the other.
Yes. Well, no, that's the thing. Just cut out the neo. Cut out the classical. It really. Everyone's just bullshitting. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, they're all full of shit.
Yes. Anyway, Pierce Morgan, Stephen. Yes, continue.
And variations is now understood to lack the creative power to generate major changes in the history of life.
And is the crux of this debate?
We know how not only single cells became multi-cells, became animals, became us having early fish, and then backbones,
chordates,
and then we developed into mammals, and then we developed into sapiens, and then we were primates, and we are humans. Yeah, we actually know it fairly well, and we can do it for the majority of a good portion of other organisms on Earth. I don't want to get too cocky, but
this is like, are there open questions in evolution? Are there things debated among the experts in science? Sure, yeah. There are things that we don't have 100% nailed down, but they try to make it sound like all the universities are in crisis. Like, oh my gosh, we can't teach evolution anymore. It's just being proven wrong by the day. What are we going to do? What are we going to replace it with? What are we going to teach? Because this is failing. It doesn't work. No, that's not anywhere close to reality.
But anyone talks about flu season or another type of cold or a vaccine, they all use evolution. We are using the functions. Like, it would be a major disruption within the scientific community to learn that evolution, the backbone of biology, isn't true. But, yeah.
Well, what they want to do is, like, they want to put it like a box. Okay, a virus can change you to a different kind of virus. Fine. Okay.
Microevolution, of course.
Different kind of dog, right? That doesn't mean common ancestry is true.
Doesn't mean I'm related to an amoeba, James. Are you an amoeba?
How do you go from a bacteria to a whale? Modern bacteria and modern whales diverged like 1 billion years ago. They've been moving in opposite directions. So yeah, they're quite different. But there was a time where their common ancestor was quite similar to the two things that sprung off from them.
James, you know what that sounds like to me? You just worship time. Oh yeah, well they love using. I swear, can I tell you? And I feel bad for all the times when they say fairy tale and stuff like that. It just sounds like they get called that so much that they just need to call it out. Yes.
Yeah. Ted Haggard is completely heterosexual.
Is it, as Tucker was getting at there, is it that if you actually start from where Darwin's theory begins, the creation of the human being was so complicated, the body, the way we exist is so complicated, it doesn't make any rational sense.
There's two issues, really. There's how do you get to the first life from the simpler non-living chemicals? That's sometimes called chemical evolutionary theory, and that's a complete mess.
That's abiogenesis. And again, they like to attack that, even though...
Victoria.
What's up, Victoria? All of the scientific evidence out there right now is that there is an empirical, naturalistic reason for why life came about. We are still working on replicating exact mechanisms, but there's no... So far, I mean, by all means, creationists, please submit some peer-reviewed...
Well, when we open up the cell, like when we open it up and look inside and under a microscope and see what's going on there, there's no magic. There's nothing in there that requires magic. It all works with just physics and chemistry, right? That's all that it requires. So it can work without magic. Why would we have to assume that, well, it must have taken magic to get that thing started? Well, why? It doesn't take magic to run it. So if it can run itself with just physics and chemistry, maybe it could be created with just physics and chemistry. Just saying.
It also just makes sense to me that simpler things would make more complex things. I don't understand the complex makes simple, makes complex, like the sandwich type of creationism model.
And wouldn't you know it, when we look back in the fossil record, life gets simpler and less diverse over time. Things start to look a lot more like each other.
Crazy. What's up, Greg? What's up, everyone? I know, I love the way he just says Tucker.
Oh yeah, he's got his picture down there, Ember. He certainly does, yeah. He's following along with bated breath, hanging on every word.
It's in a state of impasse, and almost everyone, even your recent guest, Richard Dawkins, acknowledges we have no chemical evolutionary theory that accounts for the origin of the first life.
Name checking.
And many people don't know that Darwin didn't attempt to explain the origin of the first life. Rather, he
presumed... he wrote a book on evolution. He did not write a book on biogenesis.
Exactly. Evolution was supposed to explain the different species on Earth.
He commented on abiogenesis. He kind of threw some ideas around, but that wasn't his primary work.
And that's right, Sinister. Yes, indeedy, they are. Just to trigger, Amy,
you
yes,
mean that trans people are people too? You're a human. You're a human being. You're a person.
James, I hate to say this, but I may be a human being, and trans people may be. Can I tell you? I'll continue to say this. This is what. Here, hold on. I have to contractually.
You exist. You're actually real. You're flesh and blood. Real. Like you come and poke you, and you bounce and react. You're not just an AI bot.
And it's crazy. But I'll continue to say that it wasn't like us who even... Maybe we started the fight, but it was like way longer ago than they continue to give us credit for, or like... I don't know. They continue to act like it's this new thing, James. Okay. I'm gonna out myself, but for a point, because because I'll continue to make the joke that the 80s was not 20 years ago, right? I think actually
it feels like it was. Like when you think that's almost 40 some years ago.
I am almost on my 20th year out. All right, and I'll tell you, I have a lot of stories. Like getting pulled out of a franchise.
Some can't be pulled on YouTube.
Yes. But like...
Oh, your first job, yeah.
But, yeah, when I got pulled aside by a manager.
That would be an HR nightmare today. That would never fly today.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
But what I was told 20 years ago was like, this is new. Just let everyone get their frustration out.
It's a fad. It'll go away.
It's a fad. Well, and also, even the people that supported us would just ride it out, and within a few years it'll go away. My question is, what I didn't ask was how many years. How many years was that going to take? Because at a certain point, I feel like they're way interested in it, and I know we're going out of our way to talk about it, but I can't help it. James, I feel like I'm going crazy because they bring it up so often if you watch the news. And can I tell you how much sports plays like a part of my life?
Oh, yeah. You're an avid sports fan.
I go local team.
At the Phillies games, you're a fixture in South Philly. You cheesesteaks with the Philly fanatic.
Yes, it is a wedge
issue. The Eagles games.
And I could probably rant on it for a while. We'll jump back in. But what I'm just trying to say to all the people out there, because I am James and I personally, we're biased. We are contractually hired by Soros to shill for the LGBTQ. I'm pretty sure it's for 1 billion, or was it 2 billion years? One of those. Anyway, but yeah, they not only care about it way more than we do, they don't actually care about it. I'm going to make one more claim to put tinfoil on my hat for my second, is the leaders of this don't actually get the leaders. I've let me tell you, James, in many past things, conservatives they like T-girls just as much. If you catch my drift. And so, yeah, they're just using it because it's an emotional issue, and they think they've defeated abortion, at least for the time being, and so this seems much more useful. So, if you're a liberal out there, my advice to you, and I love all of the people out there, is we need to very much sell the policies that I much believe in. I think that we have good causes. Don't destroy their narratives, because that's what they are. All those words they use are also very telling, because that's what they have, their narratives. They're trying to wipe out everything, Maya. Everything. Like, what scares me is if celebrating MLK Day is too DEI, then, which is a horrible term. I hate using that as a pejorative, because that's what they do. They're so clever in that way. It's the same with woke. My last blue-haired thing, James, and we'll jump in. I know I'm
okay.
Too long, okay? But this is what happens. They have words like woke and DEI, which are put in place for good reasons. Woke, in my opinion, is a survival thing for minority communities, and DEI was an initiative to make multiple displaced communities who are qualified have a chance, including not just people of different races, but the disabled and veterans and things like that. But what happens is they get a liberal backing, and the people who dislike those programs make it into an insult. And then what happens is we use it back as an insult back at them for other things. If that makes sense, we reinterpret it as the insult. We say, ho, Hegseth, I guess he's not, he DEI, he's DUI, and he's all these things. And but what happens is once we reinterpret it into the right-wing lingo, it becomes that in the zeitgeist of people's minds. Does that make sense? So
it's branding and messaging.
Someone woke to Bill Maher is someone very different to someone woke in my mind. He views woke as a whiny liberal. That's what it's become as the pejorative, but it wasn't that way originally. I'm just going off into tangents. I don't know how to counteract it.
No antidote. You're infected.
Anyway,
just embrace it.
Sending so much love to the Skeptic and Ranting community. You all keep me sane. And continuing on with a bunch of nonsense.
One or very few simple organisms, which we now know were not simple, and then proposed a mechanism by which you
simple
could
relative
generate
to
all the new
today's
forms of life we
organisms,
see on the planet today.
Okay, we're getting to that moment where
General.
Piers Morgan presses Stephen Meyer on that big question, the one that
the big question
prompts Stephen Meyer to give what many people think amounts to proof that there's a God. But here Meyer makes a point that a lot...
It's so annoying, because he's about to talk about the heads I win, tails you lose, but with God, you don't even need it. Whether evolution is true or not, James, it doesn't matter. Then why are you trying to debunk evolution?
A lot of people
I'm just here for
Darwin's
good
theory
science,
may
not
account for
bad
what
science.
Exactly.
Evolution
happens
bad
among
science.
living
The proof model is much better.
And they make fun of us when I say, like, Sky Daddy. But if you just say Heavenly Father, that's a real thing.
Oh,
Okay.
I have to remind you the pastor who called him Dada. remember the pastor?
How could I
we listened
forget,
to?
James?
If you're trying to talk to God and you're like, Dada, I have a problem, but if you just view him as like an authoritarian, how are you gonna be able to come to him with that meek heart and just look and say, Dada, I need your help.
Dada, please
Sky
help
Dada.
me. Sky Dada. James, I can't tell for. I mean, it's just the truth. It's just what he told us. We're not. Anyway, what's up, Beamsy? Unfortunate thing when it comes to. Yeah, sure. Well, I'll tell you a weird thing. I can't sending love to Beamsy. Welcome, welcome. The weird thing about mockery, and it's a hard travel, because sometimes I think that it's the best formula, and then other times I get things from, who was it? The man who did Birds Are Not Real campaign. The man who did the Birds Are Not Real campaign, he did it to prevent, anti-conspiracy theory, trying to prevent awareness of them. And so, if you didn't know what it was a campaign. He had a lot of billboards that just said birds are not real. And he had a website set up that said birds are actually drones that have been spying on us. And he really did try to convince people for a little while, until eventually he came out and tried to, he did this whole anti-conspiracy campaign. But he did a TED Talk, and in his TED Talk, he said the one thing that he learned from talking to all of these crazy conspiracy people, because he kind of did this little documentary, is how bad he felt for them, how much many of them were downtrodden, and that it was kind of like a hope they had, almost like a holy grail, and that it might be harder to win them over. So, Beamsy, I'm sympathetic. I guess I'm sympathetic to Sinister's and Beamsy's point, and I love both of you. I don't know 100%. I guess I guess we're going to compromise on sympathetic mockery. Court adjourned.
I mean, when you get into things like flat Earth and stupid stuff like that, I think it actually does a disservice when you approach it as if it's like a legitimate, like when you take it seriously and take it like oh, this is a legitimate question that we're looking at. I feel like a level of condescension and mockery is appropriate. It would be doing a disservice to portray it as like, oh, this is a reasonable question. We just have to approach this straight as an arrow. It's a perfectly valid reason to think that the Earth is flat. They're wrong, but let me explain to you in detail why all your things are wrong, and then you could tell me to fuck off.
I have to just read. My hair continues to get bluer and bluer, but
Cobalt blue.
This is from Saul Alinsky's Rule for Radicals, but very specifically, and I fear this is just rule number 5. We like lists, apparently. Ridicule is a man's most potent weapon. There's no defense. It is almost impossible to counterattack ridicule. Also, it infuriates the opposition. Ooh, as I hit the microphone, who then reacts to your advantage. And at the same time, I'm sympathetic again. There's so much toxicity. Not to pull that card out, James, but the internet is so toxic, and sometimes I do feel like we drive each other into further corners and drive people into further holes because they view us as looking down on them, and yet some of their ideas, oh my god.
You gotta be eating crow, Victoria. You gotta be eating crow one Yeah,
You know,
I tell
they
you.
clap because
Yeah. She gonna be eating crow.
Sending so much love, Victoria. And it's true, Beamsy. I trying to follow, I guess, a lot, somewhere in between. Some of these are ideas. I guess attack the ideas, not the person. Because I'd have a beer with anyone, but it's the
Buttercup
ideas.
up there.
Yes, baby girl.
Organisms. But how do we get that first life that started everything? My friend and microbiologist Cy
Biogenesis.
Gart says that first life we're talking about is like a
I was
second
about
big
to say the
bang
exact same
for
words.
which there's just no explanation. Even with evolution, this leaves scientists baffled. But let's pick up where Meyer begins to talk about evolution itself as we lead up to that big moment.
But even that now
The
is
climax,
being
you
challenged
could
because the main mechanism of evolutionary change does a nice job of explaining small-scale variation, what Tucker was
I
referring to.
love that. They love hedge. I don't know if it's hedging, but they all have to basically say, well, of course we believe in microevolution. We believe in adaptation. We believe... They basically say, of course we believe in evolution, but we don't want to be related to anything icky.
Referring to, I think, is adaptation. This would be examples like Darwin's finches, where the beaks get a little bigger, a little smaller in response to varying weather patterns. But it does a very poor job of explaining the major innovations in the history of life, such as the origin of birds or mammals or animals in the first place. And there in the fossil record, we do see very abrupt...
Greg, that is a great question, because I really do. Sometimes they bring that up. I'll tell you why. Here is my plea towards them. Is they aren't being skeptics because right now it has been shown empirically to be round. And so the skeptic would actually be skeptical of the flat earther. Like Beamsy says, I don't think we should be mean to them because but like James says, we also have to ridicule the belief. There's nothing wrong with also asking questions. I know sometimes they hide behind that phrase, though. I'm just asking questions. But in hypothesis, there's nothing wrong with that.
You can ask questions. That's not the problem. It's just
yes.
when you get those answers, like if you want to say, oh, I want to look into the Holocaust myself and see if it actually happened. Look at the evidence. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you review the evidence, see, you know what? I'm thinking this whole thing is BS. Well, okay, there's something obviously going on there. There's something you're missing, or there's something wrong with your intellectual toolkit.
Exactly. If you honestly are curious about something or don't know something, the proper thing to do is ask questions. What is insulting is people like Ken Hoven, who have been taught by the best people in the world at this point in evolutionary biology and is still hawking DVDs trying to tell you that there was a bunch of animals on a giant boat.
My DVD number 16, $35 to get the whole set. Yeah. Throw another $50 in, we'll give you 25 kajillion slides, my entire slideshow. Get the Hoven family vacations from the 80s. That's the slides of the famous dentist visit with Eric Hoven. No, don't include those. I'll go to jail.
Included is a calendar where he's just sitting there in a bunch of Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like in jail, like scratching the days off on the wall.
Oh, one day, James, one day.
Many instances of very abrupt appearance without the transitional intermediates that you'd expect on the basis of the Darwinian picture of the tree of life.
That's outdated language. All organisms are transitional forms.
So is your belief that the Darwin
we
theory
didn't see birds
actually
before?
fails?
We saw birds. we don't see birds before we saw birds. I mean, yeah, at some point it is an abrupt appearance, but got to remember the vast majority of species we have not found in the fossil record. We're putting them together. What we find, we're making logical, reasonable inferences, and we're not finding anything that contradicts.
And yet we have a gigantic fossil record, and so it is just amazing that
the fact that we have it makes you like. I've asked this before. Like, what do they think? Like the fact that most animals don't fossilize, but we have so many of them. Were the animals like stacked on top of each other for Noah's flood? Like the earth was just so packed with animals that they were stacked 40 feet high into the air to put all these animals existing at one time on the earth.
I think it captures an element of the truth. There's the small-scale microevolutionary variation is certainly a real process, and no one disputes that. Natural selection is a real process.
Yeah,
but what's addition
you can drive your car down the street to the McDonald's, Amy, but you could never convince me that you could drive it to another city or another state. That's like you could never do that. Like with the same way, just pushing the gas, spinning the wheels, you go to another city? No, I don't believe it.
Too much.
Was the degree to which it has genuine creative power. And I think at this 2016 conference, the opening talk was given by a prominent Austrian evolutionary biologist, not an American talk show host. And he enumerated 5 major explanatory deficits of neo-Darwinism, many of them surrounding this problem that the mechanism lacks the generative...
Those gosh darn neo-Darwinists, James.
...or creative power necessary to account for the major innovations in the history of life.
Right before we get to that big clip that I really want you to see, it's important to notice here that evolution isn't this religion killer that many atheists think that it is.
So why are you making this video?
There are lots of Christians who believe in evolution. That's fine. Doesn't invalidate religion. It just invalidates one variety of religion, the ultra fundamentalist.
But this is why, I mean, it's a heads I win, tails you lose. Because they're basically saying evolution is wrong, but even if it's right, that doesn't mean God doesn't exist.
Right.
In fact, it's quite the opposite. First of all, evolution itself raises all kinds of questions that themselves seem to indicate a God. And many Christians believe in evolution. I mean, think about it. If evolution is true, does that mean that God doesn't exist or that God didn't raise Jesus from the dead? The two most important facts to try and get Christianity off the ground?
No, those things are just stupid on their own.
On the other hand, if what Stephen Meyer...
Nothing to do with evolution. They're just dumb.
Continue to get marveled at some of the miracles because they do seem like magic, and the continued answer that I get is, well, that's what I mean, a miracle's supposed to be a miracle. If it was just normal looking, like, okay.
Yeah, but then they'll say like, oh, God did this, he does that. Like, okay, so you're trying to make it seem like God acts through through normal natural processes without overtly, bending physics or doing miracles. But then when they get to a point where they need that miracle, say, okay, well, yeah, then God did the miracle. It's like, well, why do you have to go through all this trouble if he's just going to do a miracle anyway?
Works in mysterious ways, James. Very mysterious.
Argues is true, this does create a big problem for atheists when it comes to evolution.
Not at all.
For example, among Christians, all it would mean is that some Christians misunderstood how to properly interpret the words of the Bible in some cases, but their faith would remain unaffected. But now let's lean in and hear how Meyer answers what I consider to be the big question.
Well, your best-selling book, new book, Return of the God Hypothesis, you argue there are 3 big scientific discoveries that point to the existence of God. I want to go through these. One, the Big Bang Theory. So why would that lend support?
And then silly show that used to be on TV, on network TV.
But Zynga, I don't understand why they're using the Big Bang, because I'm pretty sure that he doesn't accept. This is the other thing, is that I don't think he accepts the Big Bang, and yet they're like, the Big Bang is evidence of nonetheless.
Okay, because it's a singular point, a beginning, and they say, oh, well, in the Bible, because they used to think the universe was eternal. Now there's a creation event, so therefore that aligns with the Bible, Amy, because it had a beginning.
But does he accept the Big Bang? Because I get Muslims who use this point, and then they turn around and say, of course I don't accept the Big Bang, but you accept the Big Bang. And you go,
well, I mean, they might say, well, I don't accept a naturalistic Big Bang, but if God created everything and it started off like a bang, well, yeah, that could be fine, but not a naturalistic Big Bang.
Of course. It was a supernatural Big Bang.
To a theory of
Super Zinga.
Well, right. Maybe just a little framing before I dive into the evidence.
Yes,
Professor Dawkins at Oxford has said that the universe has precisely the properties that we should expect if at bottom there is no purpose, no design, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Right.
And though I'm on the opposite side of this science v. God issue with the good professor, I think he does a marvelous job of framing key issues. And this is one of those great framing quotations. Because what he's saying is that whether we think of it as a scientific question or a philosophical question or both, if we have a hypothesis about reality, the way we test that is by looking at the world around us and seeing if what we see comports with what we would expect to see if our hypothesis were true. And his hypothesis is that of blind, pitiless indifference, which is a shorthand way of saying that.
Pretty much what we see.
That is what we see. Yes, we see. Listen, we see lots of good, amazing things going on, and a lot of suffering and pain and torment. It looks a little random. Looks like exactly what you'd find.
The universe doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah. Beamsy says, not a singular point, it's just a frame of reference from where the universe shifted from a hot, dense to a cool and spares, and is where our understand of the known universe starts.
Right. It's maybe not an actual beginning. It could be a transformation, a iteration, but from their standpoint, they're seeing it as a complete beginning, where something came to exist where there was nothing before.
And I view it as them just playing games. Only bring that to me, this argument that you accept the Big Bang Theory as a point for God. If you accept the Big Bang, then I'll entertain your argument. But it just annoys me when a fundamentalist tries to use evolution or the Big Bang if you don't believe it. Does that make sense? I'm okay with a theistic evolutionist having that conversation. Or I guess a theistic Big Bangist? Jam, that's the new rule. Not a new rule, but and that's already copyrighted by Bill Maher. But you just gotta add an is, James. It's another way to make something bad. Like, you don't like evolution? Oh, well, evolutionist.
Everything came about by strictly undirected material processes. And what the materialists expected coming into the early 20th century was evidence of an eternal, self-existent universe, one that had been here.
James, are you a prophet?
Yeah.
For an infinitely long time, and therefore did not need an external creator.
I've heard him do
what
this
in
before.
fact the astrophysicists, the cosmologists, the astronomers.
Yeah, apparently this guy, calm and all, is the main pusher behind intelligent design. This guy is, what do they call it in a zombie? Oh my goodness. There's a name for it when you're the initial outbreak. Gosh darn it.
Patient
And
Zero.
someone in chat. Patient Zero. Thank you so much. This is Patient Zero of intelligent design, believe it or not. One of them anyway, or not one of the major ones.
Found was evidence of a universe that had a definite beginning, and therefore one that could not have created itself, because before the matter of the universe came into existence, there was no matter there to do the causing. And so the picture of the universe that has emerged starting from the 1920s all the way to the present, both from observational astronomy and from theoretical physics,
they're just hanging their hat on the fact that it's a beginning.
And therefore,
exactly. But there's nothing about the Big Bang that says a creator. I continue to point out the only actual creators we know of, and feel free, creationists or theists out there, to push back on me, but is animals. We don't know of any other creators out there. That doesn't mean there isn't any creators out there. It doesn't mean there's not aliens out there.
Why you would have consciousness that... Why?
Like, I know. That's the other thing. We value consciousness, and I'm glad you seem to understand, James, and I know other people understand. I think sometimes it drives me crazy just because of the epilepsy thing, but the people that have such this wishy-washy, like, just nature really has clear, defined lines of consciousness. It wants you to go out. It wants you to do things, and, like... I don't know, a floating
gotta do stuff to keep ourselves alive.
Exactly. And a floating consciousness is just... It has pointless. No reason to exist. Exactly. It's so pointless. And I can't tell if I'm being pedantic. I'm glad you agree with me. And I'm not
you make it makes perfect sense because we only see it in life, and not all life, but we use it to survive on a daily basis, to not die, to find food, to find mates. And
I understand why we're marveled by it, because it truly is amazing. It does things. We've gone to the moon. It makes us have this weird metadata where we can think about thinking and all this really cool things. And yet at the end of the day, as far as I can tell, as sad or as happy, make this for what you want. It's about shoving food in our face. It is the mechanism.
Primarily, yeah.
Like plants can just do it. They can just sit there, and there's actually, I say that as if there's not, there's a lot of requirements for just sitting there. You're now actually fighting in a different war, competing for good land and
good soil, and
how tall you are and things like that. But yes, exactly. It's just a different type of competition. But yep, let's get into the end game. Have you ever seen Endgame? Have you ever seen Avengers Endgame?
No.
Too geeky. Oh, James, let me tell you, and I know this is how as George Carlin, you say older, and so it's actually not that bad. But let me tell you, the heyday, and there's some good movies up and coming, but watching those Avengers after watching all those movies come together, it's a good time, James. I imagine it's what people felt when they were watching, I was going to say Michael Jordan in his original time. You had to be there. When it was,
me cursing at the TV screen as the refs let him get away with anything. Yeah.
Oh, really? My brother was someone who had to have Jordans because he was a shoe. My brother randomly is a shoe guy. I'm a shoe gal now, but I'm more than a shoe. I'm a shoe and a boot. I'm more of a boot gal. But I have shoe. I was telling. I told Rachel I'm going crazy. I do love my boots, but I now have shoes and boots for every color. And all 4 seasons. Okay. I got winter boots. I got spring boots. I got shoes for the rain. I got shoes for the game. Let's get into the end here. Again, this is the type of intellectual rigor that we should expect on this channel, though.
We're used to it.
Therefore requires some sort of external creator or cause.
Dawkins is obviously one of the world's most famous atheists. Are you a believer in God?
I like how I feel like I want them to say his name just one more time because they've name-checked him twice, and I know he's about to pop up, but it would be like they name-checked him 3 times and they, brought him into existence.
I do believe in God. Yes.
Okay, so let's play a clip from
no
Dawkins
shit.
on this show.
There we go. We said it 3 times.
So why is it not possible that there is a superior being, power, which many people believe in different ways?
It's possible there are
different
fairies
types
at the bottom of the garden. I mean, all sorts of things are possible.
Sending love out to his book, I think, because he talks about life and what's worth living in a book about fairies at the bottom. Mm-hmm.
He's making a great point. It's like, it's not a matter of what's possible, it's what we have evidence for. I mean, you could think, oh, wouldn't it be, I mean, it might be nice, but do we have evidence for it? Do we have a good reason to believe in it?
Yep.
You can't deny that.
Well, except I've never seen fairies at the end of the garden, have you?
No, you've never seen God either.
No, but you don't know for sure that either doesn't exist.
No, I don't know that fairies don't exist. Fairies may be leprechauns, for all I know.
Yep.
You know, my big question for all atheists, is okay, you don't believe in God.
There may be gnomes, James.
Yeah.
There was a point in my life, a certain point, where I didn't think people actually believed in gnomes.
But the thing is, we have the exact same evidence for fairies and gnomes as we do for God. None. But because of our culture and because of we're conditioned to view, it's like, oh well, it's not mental illness because we're conditioned to believe that God is a reasonable, it's a rational faith. But someone who believes in fairies and gnomes, that's not rational. Well,
and I'll
that's
actually
more of a cultural thing.
I'm gonna point out to. I'm gonna build off what you just said there, because mental illness, and it sometimes gets thrown around, especially out there, in the text community. I know that I have gotten it thrown in my direction for being LGBTQ, but mental illness, and a lot of skeptics will give us shit, would give James, would give me, would give anyone else shit for calling a theist a mentally ill, because mental illness is actually a specific thing. Mental illness has to do with functioning, and so it's the difference between believing that you are Caesar and believing that you are Caesar to the point that you can't function in life. That really is the difference. Believing you are Caesar might be a delusion. I think James and myself would say that believing that you think that a man could come back from the dead 72 hours afterwards is a delusion. But
especially because we have no good evidence for it.
Yes. But they're not mentally ill. Why are they not mentally ill? Because they go about their day. In fact, they probably ignore that part about them up until the point either Sunday, holidays, or someone is arguing with them about it. Otherwise, they're watching Netflix or doing their accounting job or anything else. They're functioning in life. That is the true definition of mental illness.
No, it's really. I mean, terms are arbitrary. They're given labels and definitions, and. But
it's I agree. But there really is the impeding function, and just like gender dysphoria is a mental illness because it is when you are experiencing it, it is getting in the way of mental functioning. Now, the solution to that, because they often throw it at trans people's faces, the solution generally, not always, but 90+% of the time, is transitioning, to which you alleviate gender dysphoria. They feel correct they feel comfortable within their own body, and then they go back to functioning. Because the things that get said are like, go get help. I agree, go get help. Go see a therapist, generally speaking. unless there's some other underlying problem, they're going to help you transition.
Of course.
Help you get over gender dysphoria, and then you won't have a mental illness anymore. You will be functioning back in society as the person.
Of course, then we have to go over the people who they love to play the endless videos of the detransitioners, the people who tried and didn't work out. And so therefore, of course, nobody should, because these people, it didn't work for them. They didn't like it. They went back. So therefore,
first of all, detransitioners are a minority of a minority. It is a very, very small group. Number two, actual detransitioners, we should treat them with respect. Number three, yes, like James says, just because someone may have done something wrong, like either a psychologist may not have known, or maybe we didn't understand it ourselves or something. But that doesn't mean that we should then go after the 90% of people that it did work for. And so, I don't know, walk and chew bubblegum. We are able to do it. We should be trying to build universal design, because universal design is what actually solves this problem. Quick example, bathrooms that or just have stalls, or things like that. Or
unisex.
Yes, unisex bathrooms, because when you build for everyone, including people with disabilities, you end up building things for everyone. Everyone ends up enjoying it. But nonetheless, like I said, my hair is getting bluer and bluer as time goes on. Let's get into the end game.
God, but what was there before the Big Bang, before this all started?
Yeah.
In other words, what was there before supposedly nothing? What is nothing?
I like how he's using this actually as
what even is nothing?
Yes, but he's actually using this as a point for why there's God. But their answer is just God.
Seems to be a totally incongruous word. What is nothingness? And if you can't explain it, to me, and I believe in God, but to me, it suggests there must be a power bigger than the human mind.
Why?
At the start of all this, that was able to comprehend what may have happened.
It didn't have to be comprehended.
Right. Dawkins wants to portray theistic belief as if it's equivalent to belief in fairies.
There are trillions of planets out there that nobody has ever seen, nobody's ever been to, no eyes have ever... That there's nobody contemplating it. There's nobody measuring the hills and the craters on them, because nobody's ever seen it. Nobody's ever been there. It just is.
The other favorite thing I love that they do is they kind of poo-poo other beliefs. And James, I don't think we've had anyone come to us yet that believes in fairies. Please, someone.
Or gnomes. Maybe even maybe you could even have like a gun that shoots like that.
We've had someone
stuff
multiple times believe
you put in your mouth that you shoot, like a bubble gum gun thing that shoots people.
I didn't see where you were going for a second. Okay. I agree. Everyone should have the same rights. Sending so much love.
And he'll concede that, well, it's possible. But I think there's a stronger argument for the theistic case. Mm-hmm. And that is that when scientists and philosophers reason from evidence, they typically use a method of reasoning that has a technical name. It's called inferring to the best explanation, where the best explanation is one where you're invoking a cause which has the kind of powers that would be required to explain the phenomenon of interest.
Here we go into philosophy.
You correctly pointed out in your conversation.
Exactly. Now we're going to the outside of space and time and
with him, that when you get back to that, what physicists often call the singularity, the point where matter, space, time, and energy begin to exist, the materialist is really up against a huge conundrum, because prior to the origin of matter, there is no matter to do the causing. That's what we mean by the origin of matter. That's where
but there is energy, and energy and matter are the same fundamental thing.
First of all, energy cannot be created or destroyed. I try to...
Right.
Nonetheless...
Energy and mass equals MC squared. It's the same thing. If you have infinite energy, you can get infinite mass from it. That's physics.
Exactly. And it's not a nothing. It's a singularity. Everything in one spot
infinite
is
energy.
not nothing.
It takes up no space. Energy takes up no space whatsoever. It has no mass. It can become mass, but it is not.
Starts.
Right.
And so if you want to invoke a cause which is sufficient to explain the origin of matter, you can't...
Yo, can I say the most offensive thing? I'm sending so much love to DeFreak. Did anyone else see that they announced that they were going to get to the bottom of... I don't even want to say it. Such a stupid... This admin. Tell me if you saw that, DeFreak. I don't even know if I want to say it out loud, but I don't want to... Now that I said it, I feel like I do the audience a disservice by just teasing them.
Yeah,
but
you're doing a Quentin Tarantino.
But one of the admins, who knows which one, who could it possibly be, but said they were going to get to the bottom of autism in, I don't know if he said a few months or a year. Exactly, DeFreak, exactly. I'm not going to name check this person, but let's just say that he doesn't like to horse around. Am I doing good, James? Have I been?
So.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm trying so hard.
He speaks very clearly.
By September, he speaks really clearly. I'm allowed to make fun of him because he's rich. By September. It's offensive, really. It is offensive. Because it's stupid. Can I just point that out there? All right? It's not that I don't like the gusto. It's not like I don't... I'm glad he didn't say cure, because there isn't a cure. You cannot cure autism. They do not need to be cured. They are just fine and marvelous as they are. But yes, the way they worded it was, we're going to get to the bottom of this autism epidemic. Once again, I'm just glad they're not wasting our time and money. Anyway, efficient. This is very efficient. What are we going to?
The most efficient.
I just like it because it does, every once in a while, something will come out and he'll have to eat crow. Like when the president did that photo op with him in McDonald's where it looked like he was like a hostage. Like, yes, I love eating this poison. Oh my God, thank you, Mr. President, for the poison. And I really feel like Trump... And then, like, enough people have to die of measles to where he's like, fine, I guess I'll be pro-vaccine. But then that pisses... I guess the vaccine works, which pisses off. Can I tell you the funniest thing, James? I don't know why I know this. And I'm just hearing rumors of rumors at this point.
Rumors of wars.
But it pisses off the vaccine people. But yeah, I guess after you get, like, when you're playing, team politician and you're 0 and 2, you eventually have to become team vaccine. It's all poison except McDonald's. That's right, DeFreak. We're sponsored by McDonald's here. Sponsored by Nabisco, as always.
Can't invoke matter. It's in principle, the materialistic explanations are in principle insufficient. So you need to invoke something which is external to the material universe and is not bounded by time and space as well. And that starts to paint a picture of the kind of cause you would need that has the sort of attributes.
Well, they just lead you towards, you need something outside, everything that we know.
The necessary being would have to have all those attributes.
Yes. So would
if there's consciousness, he would have to be conscious. If if there's space, he would have to be space.
I truly do not understand a consciousness that is everywhere and at all time. Like, it doesn't make sense because consciousness, at least from my perspective, is necessarily a linear thing. The only time our consciousness is taken out is when we go to sleep. Any other time that you randomly lose consciousness, James, that's a bad thing. If
Oh, yeah, you had you partied too hard. You blacked out.
Okay. And sending so much love, BeNoJustBe. That is, unfortunately, ask James. He's heard me speak I can't even say the word. Ad nauseum. You would think that LGBTQ is my identity politics, and it is. I would fight hard, and apparently I'm going to have to fight harder than ever because they're not going to drop it. James, they won't let me drop it. I know I'm talking about it more and more. It wasn't this way. They
would like to not have to.
They wanted to fight in the military. It's the last thing that we fought for, wanting to fight in the military, and they don't even bring that up anymore. But yes,
Amy with an M4 mowing down the Taliban.
Boom, boom.
It could be true. She probably would.
One of my favorite sketches is them, Kay and Peele. They are just sitting around. It's the Taliban, and they're just sitting around in a cave, and they are just angry as hell about all of these 9/11 conspiracy theorists. And they're just going round table, basically being like, this is nonsense. We spent time and money, and they're going to give FBI credit? And it's a good time.
But I mean, like, there have been gay, trans people in the military since the founding of America. You can be pretty sure in every battle,
James,
there were guys who were gay. There were guys who liked to sometimes wear women's clothes, who liked to think of themselves as more feminine than most guys. They fought, they died, and that they at the time they couldn't be out as who they were, but they still were who they were, even if they had to keep it hidden.
Exactly. Even if they had to hide themselves, they still fought hard for that. And I know that the UK gets this a lot. They get this phrase thrown at them. But I'm pretty sure that they'd all be speaking German if it were not for Alan Turing. So and I know there's many.
It would be a definite. A lot of historians say, Germany could have never won no matter what. I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure.
Listen, I think
they could have under the right conditions, but
that we're still a culture that agrees that they're the bad guys. Remember Indiana Jones? We're all remember the bad guys. Anyway, what's up, Pat? Sending so much love. That's right, it's Pat. What's up, Kip? What's up, everyone? What's up? Good to see you, Pat. Good to see you. What's up, Z Science?
Pat, great guy. Very, very anti-Nazi, Pat. Very anti-Nazi guy.
Well, I will say, I do imagine Pat as Indy and going and punching Nazis and uncovering bones and yes. But yes,
finding the Ark of the Covenant, having
Shroud of Turin.
Yeah.
But yes, let's park it.
Yeah, go ahead.
The traditional theists traditionally associated with God. God is a timeless. God is outside of time and space, has causal powers, is an agent with volition, and therefore can initiate a change.
He is kind of Xenos. At the Xenos hour, where finally he's presenting the Omni God. This is what they always do.
Yeah.
State.
Yeah, if we're trying to explain the cause of space, time, and matter, the universe, then it's going to have to be something that isn't.
He was banned.
Was he banned?
Must have cleaned out the ban. I thought he was, but
I haven't cleaned out any bans. I feel like Titan would yell at me. Where you get my memory's like in that though, but I haven't touched that side.
Years ago, I haven't either.
Well, Son and Love, see Science and Titan if you tell us. I don't know how P. Martin got on band, but he was on there too. Or was he on Randolph's stream and that's how he got
Yeah,
through?
he's not on band. Yeah, he's not. Unless he has a sock account. Which he does.
Because he did the Unforgivable for no reason. He had this like stupid redemption cycle where for like months, remember James, he was trying to play the cool theist where like yes, he was a creationist, but he kind of was like, I don't know, he was kind of nice and all this. He was trying to say how mean they were. And then all of a sudden he raged at us and said a bunch of racist stuff in our chat. That I don't forget.
Josh. Well, Dr. Josh came in and that really triggered
Was it Dr. Josh? Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, he's the one who said Dr. Josh is a blank.
Okay.
Yeah.
A cute, smart guy kind of destroyed
Dr.
him.
Josh
Okay.
is a blank. Was his,
Oh, my goodness. All right.
In those categories, it's going to be something that's not in time, or we might say eternal, not in space, spaceless, and not made of matter. In fact, beyond that, it would have to be something powerful.
Okay, it could be something else, but why does it have to be supernatural? Why couldn't it just be some sort of different type of material? See, the problem is I say material, and yet that would be matter. There might not even be a language. We might have to come up with a new word, but there's no evidence for it right now. So it's just a thought experiment.
Enough to do it, so incredibly powerful. And since there's no cause and effect leading to that moment,
it also misconstrued powerful because the Big Bang was powerful in that the event sent everything out in every direction. But that's different from like powerful as in like I'm going to choose to throw lightning bolts at people, or even I choose to throw a hammer at something that is actually real. There's just two different ways of using power, using that word.
Cause something like
a tornado is powerful, but it's not consciousness, is what I'm trying to say.
The beginning of the universe, and nothing random is happening because nothing is happening in order to make it randomly happen by chance, then
they use the word nothing more than we ever will. Only Lawrence Krauss in his one book, and he wrote that book tongue in cheek only because of how much theists use that.
As Meyer said, it would have to be a cause that has volition, which is a mind. That means that just in a few moments here, we see that if what Meyer says is true, then it means that the cause of the universe seems to be a spaceless, timeless, non-material, incredibly powerful mind, which is what most of us mean when we refer to God.
There you go. You hit the...
Yeah, that's quite a fucking jump, huh?
And all right, I think what we're going to do is we have been absorbing wisdom. We've been skeptic and ranting on Scientist Destroys Atheism.
Maya has that effect, huh?
Oh, what'd she say? I am going to... How much time did you say you have, James? Are we running on overtime?
Maybe 15 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Then I guess we'll come back with the with a type of open mic, maybe an episode in the future.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, then I guess we are soon gonna. I feel bad because I see all sorts of fun people.
I mean, if you want to open it up for just a few minutes, see if anybody comes on. It's up to you.
Gotcha. Yep. I'll do. Let's do 15 minutes.
15, 20 minutes.
15, 20 minutes, or if it's a theist, 3 or 4 days.
I can only be here for up to 6 days. I have things to do after that.
So beyond that,
good old Philip.
Everyone likes hearing clickety clacking, like it's a mechanical keyboard.
Oh,
right?
I mean,
it's like the stilettos of keyboards.
Record the sound and play it when you go to bed, so you won't have to
15 minutes.
take a sedative.
Exactly. Oh my God! Speaking of sedatives, James, guess what I got diagnosed with? It's always fun to get diagnosed with fun things. I had to take a test because I snore, and I've heard that snoring and I get crappy sleep.
Did you a sleep study?
I did. This is how you know I'm not getting old. As Carlin said, I'm not getting old. I'm getting older. I may have done a sleep study, did that thing, attached your finger to it, put a breathy thing. I am positive for sleep apnea. I do indeed have sleep apnea. So,
I've been told I have it, but I've never done a sleep study.
Well, here's what I would ask. Have your partners told you that you snore?
Yes. Not only snore, but they say my breathing, like your breathing is like off. Like you stop and then start again. Yeah.
Can I tell you? I'll say this to everybody, and it feels weird, but from all the research I've done, by all means, someone contradict me, but almost any level of snoring is bad. That we all just ha and think that it is like kind of cute, depending, normal, and or minor, but it's actually not a good thing at all, and you should just get it checked out. I stopped snoring when I stopped drinking. Hey, what's up, James Wolfe? Well, that's good. Because, I hear that it's bad. I apparently gasp in my breath. Gasp in my sleep for breath.
That's what I
found
told.
The words there. Oh my goodness. I know there's no thing. But
thank you so
much. Sending so much love to the Skeptic and Ranting community then. Yeah, it's
there are no large numbers. Numbers are abstract concepts. They don't exist in nature. They need a mind to contemplate them.
Trying to think. Someone once had a beautiful quote about what if math is objective or subjective. But it's useful. It cannot prove a God. I'm still waiting for math to prove God.
Oh, that's the Mr. Batman. The 1 + 1 = 2 = Jesus. You can't even do math, sir, without appealing to Jesus. So yes, sir. 1 + 1 = 2 = Jesus.
Mr. Batman, that poor gentleman stuck in the closet. Of course, he'll say he's not.
I love
he's
my wife. I can't keep my hands off of her, sir. I love her. She's so attractive.
I have coitus with her. Listen,
could you, honey? Would you mind stop shaving your armpits for like a couple months just to see how it is? And you don't really have to shave your legs either. I don't mind a little extra hair.
And listen, maybe she uses, like many straight guys out there, like what their wives use. There's a piece of plastic that you strap on. I forget what it's called. Yeah. The name for leaves me right now. But I hear they're great.
They have several of them.
Yes, probably. So I've heard. Does Mr. Batman say he's ex-gay? Yes, he does. Yes, that is the world that we live in. That is crazy. He will say that he was cured of being gay. That's why I love going in there. Okay, this is the naughtiest.
Do it.
Because he says the ex-gay, and he's very rude to LGBTQ people, okay? It's the naughtiest I'm being, so if you don't want to be naughty, turn your ears away for a second. But I just asked him. I said very nicely. I said, Mr. Batman, they tell me once a sucker, always a... I just want to know if that's true. And I never did get a response.
Well, everybody sinned. I'm not saying I haven't sinned. I sin all night over that dick. I sin all over that dick, honey.
Why is it the
better than you?
Can I answer that question, Maya? I don't want to name names.
Yeah.
But like there was someone who was always, they were stuck in the position of the sun. They were like this type of flower. And they would come on and like they kind of had bipolar. Is that a fair assumption, James? They would come on, they'd become very angry in chat. They'd say very mean things, and then they'd come on, and
so
then
I actually like everybody here.
Yeah, and it's almost like
I like James. I like everybody.
It's almost like they were hangry. They were a little bit hungry, and they'd come in and they'd try some pretzels and grab a root beer, and they'd look at James and myself and be like, "Oh, you atheists are okay all of a sudden."
All that shit I said in the chat. Don't worry about all
that. But he used to, or at one point he came in here, and he had very specific subjects. All right, and the one that stuck out the most to us, I think, or maybe it was the most recent, James. I think that was the last one. It's the one he left us.
Maybe
he came on and he was just like, I don't want to do an imitation of his voice. It probably just sounds like my. But he has like a very high, let's just say, eccentric voice. Why?
Very nasally. Squeaky.
James, I can't. I feel like I'm doing an impression of his voice right now.
Yeah.
I can't. Oh my god! Anyway, he asked, "Why do all gays have the gay voice?" And you're just listening to this gentleman, and you're like, "I don't know. Are you searching on Grindr? Is this why you're asking?"
He's got his gaydar going, like.
Definitely does, James. There's only two reasons to be anti-LGBT. This is, again, just not to go into my rules, but religious, in the closet. Sometimes both.
Both.
It's a good combo. Often good combo. Also, sending love, again, to random people. They know who they are. I just can't help it. I can't help myself either. So, sending love to those people. Let's see, James. Anything else? We have a few more minutes. We'll I want to do more skeptic Bible studies. Want to do what's that?
Oh no, I was just looking at the back chat.
Sending love to everybody who's been hanging around with us in chat, the whole Skeptic and Ranting community. And yeah, there's been many fantastic skeptics out there. I'm trying to think. Go check out Ember's channel. Go check out Maya's channel.
Maya, yeah.
Go check out so many amazing people. Trying to think of other things to send love to, because I have been so obsessed with politics, and I really shouldn't be. It drives you crazy, James.
It can.
Truly. Oh, but this type of stupid, it's almost comfortable. Oh, that's all right. But good night again to those who know that they are. In fact, we're about to say good night as well. Unless a creationist comes and joins us, in which we'll be up all night.
Good night, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, sending so much love.
Back. Thank you so much.
And I'll keep on saying, sponsored by the Skeptic Ranting community. Oh, thank you so much, Maya. We should come on there. I should come on. I used to go on all sorts of different shows, and I'm trying to consolidate time, and I've actually been gaining time. James is like, oh, sure, prove that. But
Is that empirically verifiable?
hopefully it will be. Oh, I'm creating mechanisms that I think next year I'm going to be so much better at doing IEPs. IEPs is just this universal
TPS
special ed.
reports.
I know. Sending so much love. Gaining time. What's that like? I know exactly. I'm going to get my favorite new toy. Is I have a digital calendar. A smart calendar. Costs too much money, but it's one of my weaknesses, and so it's so useful at work. I tried it out the past month, and it has been amazing. And
Can't
I'm
you
going to
share a
use
phone
it.
as a calendar? Or
What's that?
Can't you
Everyone
use your
just-
phone as a
That's
calendar?
what everyone
Is
says.
something different? Yeah.
Can I tell you the difference between
Tell me.
that? And I could. All right. I have a whole bunch of different appointments. Okay. I have meetings about meetings. That's how. And when
It's like getting
I have
emails
that
about
much-
emails.
Yes.
At work, sending an email out saying, "Hey guys, sorry about all the emails we're sending out. We know it's taking up too much of your time, but we're gonna start sending fewer out."
Exactly. And so my boss's assistant sending love out to her. I don't think she watches the podcast, but she uploads all of our the people within the special ed department. She sets up all of our times, and thus it just populates itself, James. Oh my god. And so it's almost like I have a rotating digital calendar of all my appointments, and it's a decent
Like, is everybody
length.
on it or just you?
Yes. Just me, just my
They all have it?
appointments.
Oh,
No, just I
she's
do.
able to
Just I have.
send it just to your calendar. Or how does that
Because
work?
what my digital calendar has is a feature that uploads your all of your Google Calendar and all that information.
Yeah. So you're adding it to Google manually, and then it adds it to itself from Google.
Yes, as long as you're connected to the internet, it automatically updates.
Well,
So anytime
I
she
gotta
adds
ask you. I gotta ask you, why
What?
couldn't you just use Google? It's like from
I
Office
guess,
Space.
but it really is nice to just sit down
Yeah, I
and
bet.
just have it, and it's like this big
Yeah.
and stuff. Trust me, everyone
Hey,
says that.
if it
Everyone-
helps you, if it helps you, don't. Who cares what anybody else thinks? If it helps you.
Because I get people like, they sell calendars, right? Or, they sell this or that, and then you're another digital example of that. But can I tell you, it works. So
Hey,
I swear to you,
works, it
it's
works.
from my ADD. It is from a function of that. But yeah, if it works, it works. Exactly. It has a lot of other cool features too. It grays things out and has all sorts of different features, but trying to think, they just added something on there. Add different calendars, and it could technically be
subreddits and Tumblr links and
use Outlook. Outlook's good. Oh my goodness, James. All right, we're coming into the last 60 seconds. Any final thoughts?
down
We
hard.
have been Skeptic and Ranting on Scientists Destroys Atheism. As I said, the original title was for 11 minutes straight, but we might have went a little bit longer. And yeah, I am sending love to the Skeptic and Ranting community. I'm gonna send a shout out. We do shout outs for the chats at the end. I'm just gonna send his name and then her name as well in a second. And then
hey, hello, I'm back. Okay.
welcome back. All right, James. I think we are going to clock out. However, it's been a fun episode. Do you feel destroyed?
I feel unloved. I feel
we're not going to need
but not quite
to
destroyed.
take ice cubes and
I'll be
put
all right.
them on places. Okay. You know, we're promised these things all the time, James. A few brain
cells destroyed. Yeah, well. Hey.
That's probably accurate. Lucy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Human. No. See,
you realize
they should have joined just a few minutes ago.
Of their species than just her, right?
I know.
They found many others.
Lucy's a good example. They attack Lucy, and they try and make you, again, it's just attacking it with confidence, but nope, they're good. She's good, so are the vast majority. There are a few known frauds, but most of the fossil record is pretty fantastic. And
it's like, they found there was another animal's bone in the original Lucy. Well, yeah, they did. They fixed it. I mean, that's the thing. Like Kent's like, all these mistakes in the textbook they won't fix. Yet you show us a few examples where they did fix it. Like Nebraska, man, they found a pig's tooth and they made a hole. Yeah. And they took it out of the textbooks when they realized that they had made a mistake. They didn't need to keep it in there and just reinforce it. When it turned out to be false, they had no problem taking it out.
And as often been said by other skeptics, it's not religion or even philosophy that replaces bad science. It is always better science, good science, credible.
Yeah. They never, they don't take it out, but they ignore good portions of their book that they even admit are stupid. They leave it in there. They just come up with reasons why they don't have to follow it anymore. Hey, Regos.
Oh, I feel bad, Regos. We're about to leave. I'm just seeing you sending love. Did watch some of the videos. Yep. More just the nonsense. Confusing evolution with abiogenesis, asserting that the Big Bang proves God. And then my favorite is, hey, even if evolution is true, well, there could still be a God. Yeah, no one said otherwise. It's you who's attacking evolution. But yeah, so I don't feel as destroyed as I guess they wanted us to.
Well, you'll feel destroyed when you get to meet God after you die. You'll be destroyed then.
Also, sending love to our Twitch community. Feel free to join us there at twitch.tv/Amy Newman Skeptic. But all right, I've said it like a few times, James. Yeah. I'm going to look. I doubt anyone's live. I want to do a quick check. I don't think anyone else is live for me to send you off to. Go check out. Yeah, go to bed. Exactly. Unless you're on the other side of the world, in which case, eat breakfast. Have a good breakfast. You deserve it. Yes. All right, James. I do want to thank, yes, everyone, misfits and all, for joining us on this Skeptic and Ranting. Scientist destroys atheism. I feel so
Part
destroyed.
2.
Part 2. This time it's
26.
personal. Where we watched a video from the channel Trinity Radio called Scientist Destroys Atheism for 11 minutes straight. Oh, that went on for 11 minutes straight. Oh, for a destroying good
that's
time.
Pretty impressive. Okay,
it is. I will say
that's pretty impressive.
If we were clocking him, and he hadn't eaten anything that day, I guess sending so much love. I do want to thank my co-host James W, along with all the lovely people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. I said it, YouTube. I said it. You can let them go now. And then you can hit that bell icon to all so that you can see our premieres or join our live streams. Or hey, why not leave a comment once the video's done? This used to be an inside joke for almost 2 years, and then he asked us why gay voices exist. James, they break me by just being themselves. Just come on here and just say, God is my dad.
Yeah, they don't know.
I know. And gnomes and just bombs, nuclear bombs, and not even the cool Fallout kind that create ghouls. Yes. Or you can leave a super thanks. We're sending love to all of the people that sent super chats. Thank you so much, Disciple Day. Woohoo! Still sending love. Sending love to Sinister Porpoise. Thank you, Sinister. And all of the people who join our channel membership with our evolving badge system down below. Evolution continues to trigger them. This is a recent video. It's not just us, James. We create evolution content because they create counter-evolution content. Anyway,
they can't let it
go. Well, they are triggered by it because they think that it disproves their God, but they have to say out loud that, hey, it doesn't disprove their God. They're more insecure about it than we are. I find biology fascinating. Again, I can't say that because, again, I'm LGBTQ. What would I know about biology? Because insert attack on trans people. Even though we've been doing this for years, James, and they believe in talking snakes and biology. Just biology. What are we talking about? Yes, sending love to all the people who sent love to us, as well as all of our...
My wife used to be a McRib.
And see, when we make fun of them, it's only slightly hyperbolic. You're only slightly being... Okay. Like I said, it breaks, but I'm sending so much love to my theist brothers and sisters. It's not a myth. It's not a myth. It's a talking snake. It's science. Yes. As well as all of our Patrons at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I'm Amy Newman, and along with James W., we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, y'all. Be kind to each other. Mwah. And go watch other skeptic content. Sending love to all of our skeptic brothers and sisters and everything in between just to trigger them. Mwah!